Hello, 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 everybody, to our first feature-length movie review. I don't know about you, Zach, but it's getting a little tight in here, if you know what I mean.
Oh man, right? Oh, just a little bit, Mario. Just a little bit.
Tad bit. We got some tent action. Okay. You say we get right down to it. Everybody, this is the review for Ghost in the Shell. And cue the review. First thoughts, Zach.
All right. You ready?
Like pause.
I know. I like that pause. I wanted to go over the acting first with this.
Acting? I'm sorry. No.
That's the end of the review. That's the end of the review, everybody.
Hang in there, guys. Hang in there.
Hang in there.
But yes, please do go.
There were some really weird moments. The first thing that I really disliked when watching this film was the Daisuke character, the Section 9 leader. Perfectly fine acting, but I guess, I don't know if it's under acting, but why is he the only guy subtitled? What in the world?
Like, and everybody around them acts totally normal. Not a single person asked, why is this motherfucker speaking Japanese?
Like, what? Like, oh my god, like, I just don't understand why that, like, for all the listeners out there, Mario and I have seen the anime, and we watched it promptly before watching the film. And then if you've seen the anime, they don't do that. There's not like this one guy speaking English. Why in the world did they do that?
It's all just appealing to the Oriental markets, man. They got to appeal to those markets because China, and I can't say as much for Japan, but China is definitely a growing market. People are calling me racist because I'm straight going to China when this is a Japanese property. But my point is that the Asian market is growing and everybody is trying to get their tiny chunk of it. But you know what, Zach? That really didn't bother me. You know what really bothered me?
Scarlett Johansson's walking.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, dude. I don't know who told Scarlett Johansson. I don't think Scarlett ever saw the original 90s movie, because she must have thought that she was a robot the entire time and just went with it, dude. Because not a single time, and even when she's supposed to show emotion, does she show it at all?
I know, right?
The entire time it looks like she's confused about this writing.
Yeah.
Which we'll touch on. But yes, even in the cartoon, she seems so much more human. She had some form of connection to the viewer. Here, I had nothing. I can only stare at Scarlett Johansson with googly eyes for so long, and here it faded away very quickly. But you know what? What about the supporting character, Bateau, played by Pilu Asbeg? All I know is on Game of Thrones, but what did you think?
That was the only character I really related to. Like, after seeing the anime, that was the only character I felt that they got spot on. There was something about him. I don't know.
It's called personality. Some people have that.
I know, right? That was a great character. He really carried the film a lot. Every scene without him, I was just like, okay, I just don't get where they're going. Like,
come back on.
Exactly. And the emotion and the connection he had and the amount of effort he put in to connect with Major, even though he got nothing back from Scarlett Johansson. Like,
oh, yeah.
The amount of effort he put in, like, you can feel it. And he really, really brought a lot to the table. And compared to all the other supporting actors, I mean, there was decent performances. The Hideo character by Michael Pitt was all right. It was decent. But, yeah, definitely the Bateau character really pulled on my heartstrings. What about you?
I don't know. I did like it a lot because at first I was pissed. Like, are they not going to show him with his eye implants? But then they did a little twist where it was kind of an origin story, and I was like, all right, I got that. I got that, man. Yeah. I was feeling it, and it was funny because I saw it with my cousin, and I told him, I can tell you right now that all the people who did not see the anime are going to laugh in that very moment. And next thing you know, oh, look at that motherfucker with those crazy eyes, man. Like, oh my God, that's so hilarious. Like, no, oh my God. It just shows you how just people were just missing out on what this was supposed to be. And you know what? I can go all day on what a movie's supposed to be, but you cannot disconnect it from the original material. And I don't know why you actually liked the villain, because I felt he was just as as robotic and cold and emotionless as Scarlett Johansson, and the whole Stephen Hawking voice with the wiki with the I am a bit villain. I was not feeling that at all. It was, and then seeing them, it's together. It was like seeing two robots trying to show each other what love was.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, that's true. There was definitely some points when he was kind of like wigging out, and I was like, okay, that sounds exactly like. It's just too computer. It's just a step too much. When you're just like, wait, and I'm like, don't do it. Please don't.
And that goes on throughout the entire movie.
The sad part is I felt he brought more than Scarlett did.
Just a little bit, which is not
much, but still.
It's like saying you're like building on the ground floor. There's not a whole lot to do. But another thing that I felt we needed to touch on was also the writing, Zach. I think someone wrote this, right?
I think they knew what they were doing. And someone got paid. I don't know what for.
Somebody got paid. Don't worry about that.
I mean, there were certain points where, I mean, it was obvious that they were looking back. I mean, it was clear. There was certain scenes they were trying to match it frame per frame.
Oh, there's scenes straight out of the original. It feels exactly shot by shot, but because you don't care about the characters, it carries no weight. You don't feel anything when somebody gets their ass kicked.
And I think they were trying to focus just so much on kind of matching certain scenes and just kind of, it was very loose writing, and they were just kind of like, okay, here's kind of the mood for this kind of scene, and just kind of go for it. And I think that's where like Scarlett's confused look came, and she's like, I am robot.
What is love? I don't know. I just, you know what? My most major disappointment with this is that they just. I don't know if there was a longer cut of this, but it almost feels like they edited out all the philosophical aspects that were supposed to be in this movie. They touch on them, but it's nothing compared to the original. They can't, accomplish in 2 hours what the original did in an hour and 10 minutes. It's, the difference between an actual, like, philosophy course and going to DeBry online and getting your philosophy course there.
Right.
It's really sad because the original touch on a lot of philosophical context that were never explored here at all within any sort of depth, because the movie just keeps going and going. It doesn't let you really feel it. But it talks about the relationship of humanity to technological progress, what it means to be human. If you can achieve consciousness artificially, does that mean it's devoid of value? Does it mean it's still a form of identity? This movie touches on all of these things, but never really goes into it deep. It's very much just top of the iceberg kind of stuff. And then it's like, oh, let's go blow something up. It's really sad how superficial it got at some points.
No, definitely. And I like the entire time I was like, well, if I wanted to watch this, I would just watch Ex Machina. Like, this is exactly that plot line. And this is kind of skipping to the point of, the anime versus the live, but the pacing was what really killed it for me, because
there's moments that
even though the anime is only an hour long, it feels so much slower, but in a good way, because there's moments where Major you really dive into her mind, like
you got a lot to nibble on, a lot more,
and even like certain scenes that you would think would be fast paced, like when she catches up to the garbage man who killed the people and she fights them. In the anime, it's slow. Even though it's this
beautiful,
vicious fight scene, it's paced. And I think they really missed some wonderful opportunities for slow-mo. I don't know who was in charge of the slow-mo, but they timed it all sorts of wrong. And even that fight scene, I'm like, no, that went way too fast. You cut it in half. Like, she's not fighting him. She's playing with him. She's dancing with this guy. And in this film, it was just like, no, I'm taking you down. And I was like, no, like, that's not her character at all.
But that's the thing. There's absolutely no character to her portrayal. You could literally put anybody in Scarlett Johansson's shoes and still get the same effect. There was nothing that she added that anybody else could not have. I mean, you can't make that excuse, because the guy who portrayed Bateau, he had, the same script, so he added something to it that Scarlett Johansson did not add. And, Yeah, I mean, as long as we're on the topic of the visuals, the special effects, man, I don't know, man.
I am disappointed.
I was really impressed by some in the design and the artistic decisions that were made to make this really feel like an anime world, a futuristic sci-fi anime world. And that's the thing, man. While the designs were okay, the quality was so shitty. I don't know who budgeted the special effects because the money didn't go into the writing. It probably went into just hiring Scarlett Johansson. There are some very specific scenes where there's like some holograms that look purposely pixelated just to hide the bad special effects.
Yeah.
Like somebody was like, "Oh, I forgot to render it. Damn it!" Let's just get it out there. You know, it's really sad, especially for something that was taking so much pride in its visuals. But even then, it was a very, very muddled execution.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there were certain scenes that I was like, okay. When you get like the wide shots of the city, like some of those are pretty cool. I'm like, okay, like that. But whenever they get close,
those are very captivating.
Whenever they got close, I'm like, no. They go back wide. And I think that right off the bat too, it hit me, and I was like really disappointed because it was when Major does her first jump. It looked terrible. I don't know what it was. But you can tell when you're looking down at her that it was just so much green screen. And it was so obvious. And just the wind going by her hair was fake and everything. And you can see the edging. I don't know. She didn't fit with the environment. You know what I mean? And it was just too obvious. And then even the really key scenes where she enters the mind of other characters, in the anime, those blew my mind. Those
Absolutely.
artistic as fuck. In this film, they were like, what's art?
She's just walking through that Iron Man 3 hologram where they're like investigating the scene of the explosion.
It's like Iron Man meets like Walking Dead. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? This is too dark. Like it's very colorful and like crazy when like she does stuff like that and way more digital. And this is just... I don't understand the artistic direction they were going with.
I know you were trying to make a point, but the entire time I was just thinking of a zombie in armor, and I am very much excited for that, dude. When are they going to do Marvel Zombies? That's the movie.
Marvel Zombies.
Yes.
Oh my god. Next year.
But yes, I don't know. I just the special effects that they didn't really hit me as much as I did. I think because the movie from the trailers didn't look all that deep, but they were taking so much pride in those special effects, in those visuals. You saw that scene where she was coming out of her invisibility cloak, millions of times, as I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And it did not live up to that at all. I thought I would at least get some visuals, some cool designs, and that was just barely touched on. This movie just represents everything. It touches on everything. It dips its toe into every little thing that's great about the original, but it never goes all in. It never goes balls deep, and it's very sad.
Yeah, definitely very sad. I mean, they had 2 flipping hours to make something amazing, and they couldn't even get half of what the anime did in 1 hour.
Saying half is too much, man.
It was just so bad. And of course, with every anime, Mario, I think it would behoove us to talk about the wonderful whitewashing in this film. God.
Yeah, just to touch on it, because we are getting into some spoilery territory, and don't worry, people, we are going to have a spoiler section at the end of this. We will give you fair warning. We're going to sound the alarms, blow the horns. I'm going to slap sax and make some noise. We're going to make it very obvious we're going to talk about spoilers before we continue. But this movie does something that's almost accidentally self-referential into how this is whitewashed. We'll touch on it, but at first it didn't really bother me, because everything is whitewashed in terms of anime. The Last Airbender, the Dragon Ball movie. I can go for hours, but yes, this is so whitewashed, and it's really disappointing because, I mean, just talking a little bit more on just how the industry works. I mean, Asian people, so many talented Asian actors just get the short end of the stick. And like in this movie, they're only in the background. They play very, very supportive roles. And even, Daisuke, who's such a major character, was great, but they played him so awkwardly. And I
subtitled him.
Yes, exactly. The Japanese speaking was so, I don't know, it just took me out of the movie. It made me feel like I'm watching them actually market this movie overseas.
Definitely. And this, the casting was just kind of flipped, I feel. Like a lot of the background characters should have been the forefront. And just, even, the Hideo character probably could have been someone else, and anyone but Scarlett Johansson. Not for this film. I mean, she could, if this film wasn't set in this kind of world, maybe she could have pulled it off. But for this character, who she's supposed to be, and what we'll reveal later in the spoiler, so bad. So bad.
I almost love it, because it was basically like the movie going to the entire league of Asian actors. Fuck. Goddamn, dude. It's
just like, right there, Fred, right in the ballsack.
It's like, it almost looks like they did it on purpose, but, enough of that. Again, we will touch more on our spoiler section, but yeah, it's another film to add to the great list of, people who were saying like, oh no, dude, Hollywood is so diverse, we're so pro, getting people of all different cultures. And no, man, this is very much just Hollywood being Hollywood. On the surface, all these actors are preaching, democratic values, but at the end of the day, they don't give two shits.
Right. Yeah. Sad. Cause so much opportunity just lost and just thrown away.
You could poke so many holes as to, what was missed out on, what they could have done, but at the end of the day, this is the final product,
Product, yeah.
It is like a product in the movie.
Yeah. All right, so should we go ahead and give them our rating, Mario, and then do the spoilers afterwards?
Yeah, let's do that. And why do not we touch on our brand new shiny rating system? Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
All right, let's go through the breakdown, everyone. So, to keep consistency, we've made a nice rating system for you from whenever we do theater releases. So, this is a 1 to 5 system, the worst being number 1, and that is what, Mario?
You motherfucker!
You straight up motherfucker. What are you doing? That is the worst.
You made me pay for this shit?
Full refund.
Yeah.
Number 2 is my personal favorite. One day Mario asked me what I thought about a film, and I said, well, I didn't throw up.
I could hold it in. I could hold my sandwich in.
Yeah. Number 3.
And of course, number 3. Yeah, just, rent it. Netflix and chill. You'll be making out with your girl anyway. Just catch it on the good parts.
And number 4 is, this film gave me a semi. Definitely watch this in theaters. This is an exciting film.
It's good. It's not perfect. It's not a game changer, but it's just amazing enough to get the blood flowing in all those special spots, Zach. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what about number 5, Mario?
Get off your ass and watch this thing. What are you doing? That homework? Is that fucking... What the fuck are you doing homework for and watch this movie, man? Get off your ass, fool, and watch this movie.
And number 5 is definitely a groundbreaking film, and we would explain that during those reviews. So, with that rating system, Mario, do you want to do the honors of going first? What is your opinion on Ghost in the Shell?
Spoilers! No, I'm just playing that for later. I'm gonna say it's just watch it on Netflix, man. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be there in a year or two. It's something you can have on the background while you're washing the dishes or making sweet love, because it's, at least the music's pretty good for that. I would just say, just straight get it on Netflix. Just rent it.
And then for me, I'm gonna have to agree, only because even the visual effects, there's nothing worth watching on the big screen. There's nothing mind exploding. I mean, if there's bad acting, I can get through that if it's visually appealing, you know? But
what
wow.
stopped from being a didn't throw up movie for you?
They tried hard enough, and really, honestly, the Bateau character saved it from that. That was the only, if he wasn't in it, it'd be a straight up, I didn't throw up.
Yeah, so it's almost a PD Netflix and chill, if I may say.
It is. So. It's like, if there's something better on Netflix, okay, but definitely just made the grade for that. All right, so with that, if you want to stop listening because of spoilers, do so now, because we might do that with more of our whitewashing topic. If that's the case, we will talk to you later for our next week's review. If you're still listening, Mario, let's talk about this spoiler.
No, you forgot to do it like the villain, man. Got that Steve Hawking voice. This is a spoiler. Oh man, I was waiting the entire review just to touch on this fact, because this is
painful.
It's like that juicy gossip, man. I mean, it's not gossip, but it's just as juicy. Ew. If you have seen the movie, or if you just don't give a shit enough and you just want to see us spoil it, it is revealed that the entire time Major, Scarlett Johansson, white as can be, is actually the brain of an Asian girl who died in an accident. Now, this has all sorts of layers to it, but just
really bad layers.
it's a very stinky onion sack. It's a garbage onion. It's just so self-referential into how this is all shell no ghost, and it's just this Asian beautiful spirit of Japanese culture that's living inside this visually appealing but meaningless and emotionless robotic white shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's like the opposite of, it's a reverse banana. It's not, not very appealing.
And I was trying to think of a way that would make this okay, and the only thing I could think of is if Major was like just a robot. You couldn't tell the gender, you couldn't tell anything, but then you wouldn't have Major. And then you wouldn't have this whole story, and then you wouldn't give a shit. And I'm like, well, then it doesn't work actually at all. So never mind. They fucked up. It
Fuck
is
your thoughts.
Fuck your thoughts. Get out! What are you doing? But yeah, I mean, that's just so disgusting. They should have left that whole part out. Whoever wrote that in needs to go to hell.
It's so unnecessary when you get down to it, especially because they follow this whole subplot where even the subplot almost feels unnecessary, because Scarlett Johansson does not live up to that emotional core, because, she's finding her identity, what she believes to be real, and in her ancestry with who's her real family, because she wakes up as a robot not knowing exactly what is real or not, and when that's presented to her, she has like the reaction of like, should I get a milkshake? Should I get burgers with this fry? I mean, it's wasted basically on her birthday.
Definitely, and it was so unnecessary to write that in. I feel like they were just filling in time, honestly, because it didn't bring anything to the story, and it revealed way too much, because there was way more power of the mystery of who are you, like that struggle of that Major should be having that you see in the anime, and it's just that personal, just what does it mean? What is it to be human? Like, what am I? Like, what do you feel? And there's like even like certain point, like when she goes out in the street and she grabs the corner hooker, that scene I didn't like either.
That was meaningless. That
was just so awkward.
You know what? That just like reminded me of Black Swan, where they just got together, Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman, just to get him making out for the trailer. Like, that was a scene for the dudes, essentially. I'm not gonna complain, but did it add anything to the movie? No. And in here, it really did not add anything to the movie. They were just putting it on the trailer just to entice people, like maybe we're gonna get some robo action. And you know what, if they went with it, I would have at least gotten something out of it, but because all things considered, we don't even see Scarlett Johansson's nipples. I mean, it's that censored. Where are my nipples, Zach?
I mean, if that was a deal breaker for you, Jesus. But considering how disgusting it is that she is an Asian character in a white body, I'm surprised I haven't heard about this before. I'm surprised Facebook is not flooded with spoilers about this, because I had no idea until they revealed it in the film, and wow. Really bad. That was a mess up. That was a huge stumble.
It's one thing to fuck up, but then it's one thing to like accidentally shoot off your shotgun and hit yourself in the face, and then tripping on your ass, and then having the shotgun go off again. It's I understand that you can have your missteps, but this is just a straight up fuck you to this whole whitewashing thing. And you know what? At the end of the day, you see some improvement, but it's very slow. There's still got to be, like a lot of Asian talent that's going to be just looked over in terms of, it's just, I get it. They got to make their money. Scarlett Johansson is going to bring in the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But from an artistic point of view, it is very disappointing.
No, definitely. And it might have been because of the director just didn't see through that, or also the writer's fault for not being like, hey, red flag, why are you doing this? I don't know. I don't know why I expect more from Hollywood. I don't know why I put that upon myself ever.
We have to hold Hollywood to some standards now.
I know, right? It's every time they whitewash an anime. I think the only time I've been okay with it, and I don't know if you agree with this, but Speed Racer was the only time where the characters fulfilled the roles perfectly.
For the most part, but yes, I would agree. At least I was regarding it's not a perfect movie either, but in terms of an adaptation from an anime, it definitely felt refreshing and very visually enticing, which is what this movie did too, but it didn't go all out. Like I said, it's all wasted potential.
Yeah, and they just shat on all the potential that they had for this film. Just visually, writing, acting, just full.
They took a big, white, American Anglo shit on this movie.
Essentially.
It's that shit with the little white dust, that gets on when you see dog poo poo, in the yard.
Well, I figured they were in the writers. What I think is they were just in the writers' room and someone spilled white out all over the script and
it'll work.
Let's go with it. Nailed it.
But yeah, man, I feel like that's really all there is to spoil. That's the sad
thing. That was the biggest spoiling point. Yeah, everything else you can expect. I mean, they did try to match the anime more or less. They did a bad job doing it. I mean, you can definitely see the scenes where they were supposed to go, and missed the mark.
Yeah, they basically missed the mark from, we were shooting at Japan, but we just hit some good old American booty, man. Goddamn. But you know what? That's all I can say at this point. I am, like I said, I got the nerdy sweats, but I think that's all I can add, man. Anything else you'd like to finish on?
Nope, I think that's it. And rent and Netflix, guys. Don't bother going to theaters for this one.
Not worth your hard-earned money or yen.
Right, yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. And Zach, would you like to say goodbye to the beautiful people out there in the airwaves?
Good night, everyone. I miss you.
Good night, everybody. Goodbye.